Good afternoon from Sacred Space. It's 12:11 p.m. on Tuesday. What date is it? 1st of July 2025. This is Bo and this is Kermie. I brought him out in his old cage because it's bigger and means I have to manhandle him, or I should say woman handle him, with those dusting mitts that I never used for dusting, ironically. Yes, I know, dusting and me and Quentin Crisp, we're all simpatico on that one. But it happens occasionally, but I just wash everything down with a wet cloth. But anyway, here we are enjoying the sunshine. I moved them into the sunshine because they were, over there, but it's all dark and miserable and cold. So we're sitting here happy as little birdies in nests, or piglets in mud, or however you want to reframe all of that. And we're really quite contented, aren't we, boys? We are. To Mama T with her lovely birdie boys. And as for me, don't know if you can see me, I've had a shower and washed my hair, and I'm about to partake of this very fattening macaroni cheese I made last night, but it was a recipe on the packet and I'm kind of disappointed with it. It's not that nice, but I'll eat it anyway because food is life. And I'm a hungry mama too. So we haven't done much today. We've been listening to YouTube videos. I've listened to Richard Vobes talking with a midwife, talking about the absolute implosion of the NHS midwifery system. Well, that imploded back in 1985 when I had my first baby. That was in New Zealand. So that systemic abuse and sadism has been going on a long time. That's why after my second child I said there'll be no more children. Both of us could have actually died when I had Jasmine. She nearly hit the hospital floor because she flew out of me like a projectile because I retched and all my muscles pushed her out just as she was crowning. So it wasn't technically the hospital's fault, but they should have had a bit more duty of care and kept an eye on that process. Anyway, she was a flying projectile, and it was the midwife. I had a female medical student, a female midwife and a female doctor, and I looked up and it was literally a scene out of the drawing by Pamela Coleman Smith in the tarot pack of I think it's the Three of Wands, where three women are reaching up and kind of dancing together. Well, in this case they were all reaching up to grab Jasmine mid-flight, and the midwife turned to me and said, "You're lucky I play netball," handed her to me, put her on my belly, and my doctor, who happened to also be my GP, actually slapped the midwife right across the face for joking about playing netball. But you know what? I think they were all a bit in shock, to be honest. It was a very scary moment. And meanwhile, just after that, I'm looking at my little newborn baby, checking out. She had 10 fingers and toes, and she had a bright orange nose from jaundice because she was 44-week gestation. And I noticed she was turning blue, so I said, "Hey, give the kids some oxygen," which they promptly did. But anyway, it was a very traumatic birth, and the birth before that with Crystal was very traumatic. And listening to all these stories from this midwife saying she had to walk away from the profession because it's all just run like a corporate, I don't even know how you describe it. It's not even barely a hospital. They barely get to do any actual nursing at all. They're just having to, document what's in the freezers and what's the fridge temperatures and all sorts of, really quite not quite necessary. I mean, I suppose it's necessary at some point of the time, but they're having them distracted doing all these weird menial jobs instead of focusing on the labouring mothers. So it's a bit frightening to contemplate how worn out they are, and yet nothing is properly being done. Anyway, I was thinking about that. It brought a lot of memories back about the abuse I encountered in the Wellington Women's Hospital when I had both my daughters, and some of that actually was coming from my husband. I actually sent him home midway through the labour with Crystal because he was just being such a prick. And honestly, afterwards they tried to gaslight and blame me. In actual fact, they should have said, "Lady, get away from that man and don't give him any more children." It's like no respect or duty or care for the woman who's vulnerable and at the mercy of fucking psychopaths, including my own mother, by the way. Oh, she was vicious to me when I gave birth to Crystal. So vicious. And then she walked in, about an hour after Jasmine's birth and said, she's got a bright orange nose and she looks retarded. I mean, who says that to someone who's just birthed you, their third granddaughter? It's just malicious. Anyway, my daughter Jasmine is not at all, intellectually handicapped, to use the politically correct phrasing. And, it's just, I just remember lying there thinking, why am I surrounded by these fucking monsters, and not really knowing how to get myself out of it, quite frankly. So I stayed in that terrible situation until Jasmine was 7, and it just became impossible to stay with those people any longer, including my own mother and stepfathers, and the whole shit show and shebang. So here we are, enjoying at age 60 with 2 adult but estranged daughters. And you know what, I was thinking about it this morning. I kind of get it why they're estranged. I mean, they blame me for all the abuse dynamics and all the horror, but it wasn't actually me. I was just merely surviving them all, in survival mode, not knowing, no money of my own, although we were wealthy, had a freehold house. I married at 19 years of age. I came in with nothing, and as my husband said, 50% of nothing is nothing, so I left with practically nothing too. It was just beyond awful. So here we sit in my sacred space garden. There's the lovely coffee tree and, the lovely tulip trees and my little housing commission cottage. And I'm probably the happiest I've ever been in my life, because I've realised I've survived the most enormous monstrosities. And when COVID came, I kept surviving. In fact, I spoke out against it. So I had the courage and the decency that many, including health professionals, seriously lacked. So I'm very happy to have not only survived, but reached a point where we're thriving. Aren't we, Kermie? Are we thriving, Kermie? He says, I don't know, Mama T, what does thriving mean? Well, thriving means you've got a bigger cage to sit in the garden. You can't be free range like Charlie because you're a flight risk and you wouldn't survive in the wild. So you really are a prisoner of Mama T's love, but you're treated kindly and respectfully and honouringly. Most of the time, except when I have to grab you with these dusting mitts because, I can't get you out there otherwise. And, you have most of your autonomy. You could have a lot more, but as I said, it's a wild world out there and dangerous, and you've never lived in the wild, so you don't have the life skills and the survival skills. Starting to feel a bit more like a bloody parallel, isn't it, between humanity right now as well. We're kept like domesticated, herded sheep in open air kind of concentration camps. I know that's dark, but that's really the reality. Feed us on pharmaceuticals and keep us under their control, and You know, even playing games with food. Chocolate keeps changing dramatically in price ranges between, you know, Woolworths, Coles and Aldi, and then they tell us that there's a shortage of it, and then they put the price up, and then they drop the price down. It's all psychological warfare operations, and interestingly using what people most love for their comfort food. Am I right? Well, chocolate for me is comfort and joy and delight, and you know, probably not all that good for me. But yeah, I watched that, and then we had the games they played with the eggs that went on for weeks and weeks, and because they keep culling the chickens, because they tell everyone, oh, you're all going to die of bird flu. So what do? Kill thousands of innocent chickens who are perfectly bloody healthy. So we live in a very strange world. It's all I've got to say about that. But my little boy chicks, my little boys, we're going to survive together. Kermie, you and me, and little Bo. Little Bo. He's sleepy a lot. I don't think he's all that well, to be honest. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's just like, well, kind of on the nod a fair bit. Anyway, he had a bit of a flying time yesterday. Let him out to fly. He flew quite a bit around the room and got into a bit of mischief, and you know, live the life of a normal little parrot. So he's doing well, actually. I've been worrying about him, and I thought, you know what, even if heaven forfend he doesn't live long, he's had time with mama, living his best life. But I do want to get him a bigger cage. I'm obsessing over it now. It's grinding my gears. But anyway, we'll get there. Oh yes, little Bo, have a little yawn. We'll get there, little Bo. Yes, my sweet little baby. And this one's perfectly vigorous and full of vitality, and you know, quite alert and healthy. Yes, you are. You're a lovely boy. You're out of focus, but you're a lovely boy. Anyway, that's my video thinking about how systemic abuse and childhood sexual abuse and domestic violence and all the other ugliness that our society has devolved into cost me my adult children's love and affection and attention, and it's a seeping wound, and it's going to seep till the day I die, but it's just the way it is. I had to be estranged to both my parents and stepfathers because they were toxic and dangerous, and I have never been toxic and dangerous to my daughters, so it's kind of really cruel and unfair, but it is what it is. Can't do anything to change it. And yes, Kermie. I always hoped one day they'd have grandchildren, and that would bring them back to reality of what life's really about, you know, being a parent, a mother, and getting grounded in reality as you do when you give birth to your own children. It's actually a milestone in every woman's life, and a rite of passage, literally and figuratively. And you know, not having fulfilled their biological imperative has made them both a bit strange, I believe, through no fault of their own. You know, it's hard to find a good man who's willing not just to give you children, but stand by you while you raise them in a safe, supportive, honouring, loving way. It's why our society is completely fucked, quite frankly. All these people who abdicated their roles out of sheer bloody cowardice or privilege or just disrespect for their own humanity. And well, I get to sit back and watch it all devolve, don't I? That's nice. But after my near-death experience And I had the gallbladder surgery on 25th of June 2019. The spirits did tell me they were sending me back to a hellscape of epic proportions, and I cried and I begged for them to take me, but no, they were determined that I live out my life for whatever time is allotted me. So here I am, kicking on, quite joyfully actually. So I'm grateful for that extra time I was gifted by the gods. Hasn't been easy, but we're getting there. Aren't we, Kirby? Yes, we are, Kirby. I keep telling his name should be something more noble than Kermy, like short for Kermit the Frog. His name should be something like Ignatius Alexander Papadopoulos, or or I don't know, anything other than Kermy. It's too late to change his name now. It's just would be very confusing. He knows who he is. He knows his real bird name, don't you, Kermy? Yes, very much his own man, that one. Lovely. Anyway, love to you all. Blessed be from sacred space, Titania's realm.